Good afternoon, Sava here from Football Heritage TV. I hope you are all well. So today I want to talk about Tottenham and chasing Europe. Now this is definitely a debate that leaves people on both sides. This is definitely a debate that divides opinion. Now what I mean by this is everyone chases European football. Everyone must get top four. If we can't get top four, must get fifth or sixth and get Europa. If we can't get that, we must get seventh and get the Conference League. And then you get other people saying, well, no, it would be good for us to have some time away from Europe, to not be playing every 3 or 4 days, to actually have some time on the training pitch and build a team. So let's break this down. Where are you all at with this? Do you want Tottenham to get European football? Now, let's start with Champions League. I don't think we're going to get it, but there is an outside chance. Do you all want Champions League football, knowing that whenever we get into Champions League football, we never ever actually act like a Champions League club and by Champions League calibre players? It's simple, we don't. Some of our best transfer windows have been when we've not been in Champions League and we've actually had to try and get back into it. Everyone says you need Champions League football to attract the top quality players, but is that true of Tottenham Hotspur? Is that how we utilise the platform of Champions League football? I am going to say it isn't. That isn't what we do. That isn't how we utilise it. Last summer's transfer window summed it all up in a nutshell. Who did we buy last window that we wouldn't have been able to buy if we weren't in the Champions League? I'll argue none of them. Perisic maybe, but he was a free transfer coming to the end of his career. Basuma was playing no European football at all for Brighton. Richarlison, no European football at all for Everton. Fraser Forster on a free. Jed Spence, long loan. All of these players for me you can get without Champions League football. So this myth that we've got to get Champions League, we've got to be able to attract the top quality players. I am challenging anybody now to tell me when we've done that. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but tell me when have we done that? When have we kicked on? Now, Europa League. Do players want to play Europa League? Are they attracted by Europa League? Now, the professional part of the footballer says, yeah, absolutely. If I'm not playing Champions League, I want to be playing some sort of European football. And the next best is the Europa League. It's a long, grueling competition though. We've seen it. We've seen it last year when West Ham went all the way to the semi-finals. This year, we've seen it with multiple other teams again. Do we want Europa League? Do you enjoy it as a football fan? Do you enjoy the Europa League? Because I've never really enjoyed it. I've never felt like we've really gone at it. I never feel like we've given it the credit and the respect it deserves. I don't know whether that's down to having a deep enough squad, but I've never really enjoyed it. The games away at these far-flung European countries, they feel a bit disjointed. The team lineups are always a mishmash of players. There's no continuity, and it just kind of feels to me that it's a bit of a waste. But let me know, what do you think of the Europa League? Do you want that? Is that another route back into the Champions League? If you win it, of course, if you win it, you get Champions League football. But whenever Spurs have been in it, I don't think we've ever come close to winning it. You know, I think Fulham got to a final, Middlesbrough got to a final, Chelsea did, West Ham got to the semis. I can't remember when we have ever gone that deep in the Europa League. I can't remember past the quarters, if I'm honest. And I think off the top of my head, and forgive me, off the top of my head, I want to say quarterfinals against Seville, maybe. And then we look at the Conference League. Now, I'm not looking down on any competition, because as a Spurs fan, I acknowledge that, hey, we got to win a trophy. But I also acknowledge is it a massive distraction? Is it a competition that the top players at the club will go, yeah, we want to win that, we're going to give our best? Is it a distraction? We were terrible in it last year, absolutely terrible in it. One of the club's worst ever defeats coming in that competition to Mura. And I look at it and I think to myself, listen, it's a European trophy, I'm not sniffing at it. But a club like West Ham, for example, they're in it this year. They're going all out for it. And I get it. Would Spurs? Would Son, Kane? Would these players, the Bentancurs, the Kulus, would they play week in, week out in the Conference League? Or would this be a competition where we rotate again and we start to see the Sanchez's, the Winks, you know, those types of players? The Moores, obviously I know he's going, but that type of player. So is Conference League a competition that you'd want to be in? I'm not turning my nose up at it. If we're in it, I want to win it. But here's my argument to all of this European football. Tottenham Hotspur, I think it's safe to say at the moment that apart from our league position, the club is a mess. From academy through to scouting, no manager, no director of football, no philosophy, no style of play, no camaraderie. You name it, I don't think we've got it at Tottenham at the moment. So my question to you is this. With all of that in mind, would it not serve Spurs well to have a year out of European competition? Would it not serve Spurs well to have a season where we play every weekend? All right, you've got some cup competitions in there, but every weekend you play. And then Monday to Friday, you are on the training ground, learning a vision, learning a philosophy, learning what the new manager wants, implementing. And that for me, as opposed to, let's say you're playing Thursday, Sunday. It's the same for me as Saturday, Wednesday. But if you're playing Thursday, Sunday, you're playing Thursday, you're travelling back Thursday night, Friday morning, you train Saturday, you play Sunday. How do you have a chance to implement anything? Now, for the clubs that constantly go at it, the Liverpools, the Man Cities, they know their philosophy, they know what they need to do. Spurs don't have that. So for me, I think it would be a good idea. Listen, what will be, will be. It's not my decision. Where we finish in the league, we'll finish in the league. But I think it would be a good idea for Spurs not to get European football and to build that with a new manager. To trim down the squad, not have to rotate, get your 11 sorted, and then get your next 4, 5, 6 players behind that. As opposed to, here's your 11 on a Sunday, then on a Thursday night, we are then playing 5 of those players and then 5 or 6, 5 or 6 kind of reserve players or backup players. And then you've got a mishmash, they don't play together often, there's no gelling. It just doesn't sit right with me. So I'm keen to understand there's no right or wrongs to this question, right? People talk about the finance that European football brings in, but does it bring in that much unless you're in the Champions League? And as I said earlier, are Tottenham actually using that finance as a springboard? You know, a club like Newcastle, if they get Champions League football, you know they're going to kick on and use it as a springboard for success. Spurs get it, and it feels to me that the owners have let that seep down into the fans that fourth is success, that Champions League football is a trophy. We've done it. So for me, I want a year next year when a new manager comes in, a new director of football comes in, a lot of new players come in, and we have a year to bed down. We have a year to build a team, build a vision, build a future. That's just me. Other people love European football, but I've not enjoyed Spurs in Europe for many a year. Obviously, the Champions League run was slightly different. A very weird run that was. But other than that, in the European competitions, I feel like it's been very bitty. So I'm going to ask you, do you want European football? If so, which European competition do you think we're most likely to get at the moment? Is it going to be Europa League, Conference League? Do you still think we can make the Champions League? Anyway, from a nice sunny Dubai, it's only 40 degrees here today, so absolutely sweltering. Please take care, keep liking, subscribe if you haven't already, and we're going to chase down the next milestone. Thank you to everyone. Speak soon. Bye-bye.